Hey Crafty Peeps, I have compiled a whole bunch of patriotic inspiration for you that I have done over the last couple years. So sit back, throw on this video, and do some crafting yourself, and let's get right into it. Print out the Star Spangled Banner. I just looked it up on Google Images, and I printed it on cardstock. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint this sign, and I'm going to start out with the brown paint, and then after I get it all painted I'm just going to add in some black, and so trying to make kind of an aged wood look. When adding the black, I just barely get some on my brush and actually wipe off quite a bit. And then I try to just barely brush it across my project. The one nice thing is if you get too much in one area, you can always go back over it with brown to mute it out. And so I just kind of play around until I get the look that I desire. And then I'm going to take a little piece of sandpaper and kind of sand it down to make it, again, look like that aged look. And you'll see that I'm only sanding around the sides, and that's because I'm going to Mod Podge the lyrics down in the middle, so there's really no need to, work a lot on the middle part. Just get those edges looking nice and weathered. Now I'm going to tear around the edges to make this look aged. So the easiest way to tear and get a good tear without like tearing into an area you didn't mean to tear into is by, with a small paintbrush, adding water right to the edge of where you plan to tear. And then, like I said, you'll get a perfect tear this way. Now I'm just going to kind of go around the edges and kind of just roll them up a little bit, and that just gives that little bit more of that aging feel. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and place it on my board, and look at how perfect that fit. This was just an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and it fit perfect. So then after I do that, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to Mod Podge it onto my board. And now to finish off the embellishment of it, I am going to make a bow. And what I'm going to do is I am going to fold it in half here and kind of decide how big I want my bow. And once I know that, then I'm going to fold this over 3 times. So that's going to give me 3 fold overs on each side. And then I will cut 2 little notches at the center point, add a little wire to put it together, and then fluff out the bow. made this bow like this where it's more of like a circle bow, and these are really good for like wreaths, but I realized it's just going to be a little too much for this sign. So what I end up doing is I take one of the tails that's hanging down there and I fold it around the middle. And this is actually the first time I've tried it this way, and I really love the way it turned out. It just give that, scrunch that middle down and just give it a really nice bow feel. And then so I go ahead and I glue that middle down. Now a lot of times I will add tails and glue it to the back of the bow, but it would cover up our lyrics, so I didn't want to do that. So I went ahead and just made the bow this way, and I just think it turned out great. So now you'll notice the back of my sign obviously is Halloween. If you want to finish off the back of your sign, go ahead and grab some of the brown wrapping paper, just the natural wrapping paper at Dollar Tree, and you can just cut it out the shape of your sign and glue it over the back, and it just kind of finishes off your back so you don't have that, like I said, like a Halloween or Christmas sign on the back. So that's something you can do. Another thing you could do if you really like that sign is you can just pop that bow off and flip it around at Halloween time so you can get more bang for your buck. So again, I'm just going to glue this on to our sign, and this sign is complete. And I just love the vintage look that it has. Okay, so this one is a super easy project. Everything's from Dollar Tree. I picked up 3 of these corrugated metal stars. They're just in the regular craft section. And of course, this board is also from Dollar Tree. These stars are a little big, but if you just kind of do one, the middle one kind of up, and then the 2 side ones, push them down a little bit, and then they will all fit onto the board. I'm going to take some E6000 to get it to adhere really well. I like to do that when I'm doing metal. I'm going to find the center there. I realized I should have done that first, but with E6000 you can still move it around for a little bit. And so once I get all those glued down, I'm going to put some heavy objects on there so that it can secure. And then you see up at the top there, I have those 2 ornament packs. I swear I got the blue one too, but I guess I didn't. So if I were to make this again and I was going to Dollar Tree to get the supplies, I would probably get the blue one so that I could do red, white, and blue stars. But this is what I had, so I went ahead and just used 2 red and 1 white instead of the red, white, and blue. Okay, now I'm going to cut the tops off. There's just like a little hook and it cuts off really easy with my wire cutters. And then I'm going to cut all the beads off, and we're just going to make one long string of beads to go for the hangy part above our sign. And this will kind of bring that blue back into this project. This would be a great project too for non-patriotic, like if you wanted, you could paint these stars like a, maybe like a cream color, and just make kind of like a neutral farmhouse sign. I think that would look really cute too. I'm just going to take one side off here. I'm going to use a little bit of painter's tape to, make a nice easy edge there so that I can string these beads. And then I just string all the beads on, and then with my staple gun, I staple it back down. And then it's just a matter of gluing on those smaller stars onto the big stars, and then this project is complete. Okay, I'm going to make a wreath here with more Michael's grab bag items. So this fabric was in from last year. I actually purchased that ribbon at Joann's on clearance. And then these stars were in one of the Christmas grab bags, and they were on sticks. I'm forgetting what those are called, but picks. They're called picks. Yeah, Christmas picks. So pulled all the picks out of it. So I opened up the fabric here, and then I'm using the rotary tool here, but I just don't have enough pressure to cut it, so I have to keep going over and over it. So it ended up being a lot easier just to use my sewing scissors and cut it. And that was super easy, but I got to try it the wrong way first. So now you're gonna say, well, I don't have all those stars. That's okay. So I'm gonna show you at the end of this project how you can make some of those stars yourself for a project like this. So anyhow, I'm just cutting a bunch of strips, and then I cut them at the bottom so they're, because right now they're folded over, but I'll cut them so they're all just about this length, which is, I believe, was about 11 to 12 inches. I would actually do them longer if you can. I think when I tie them, there's not a lot of tails, and I think it would have maybe looked nicer if they were a little bit longer. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm taking my 14-inch wreath form from Dollar Tree. I'm just taking these little strips here and tying them in a double knot. That's it. So this part was really easy. It's a little bit time consuming, but it's really easy, and I just do as many as I can all the way around, and yep, just a double knot. At this point, I'm trying to decide, do I just want the stars going, onto one side, or do I want it to go all the way around? And I do decide that I want them to go all the way around, but I think either way will work. Just this rag wreath kind of alone is so cute. I love how that part turned out. So I'm just going to line the stars up and hot glue them all the way around, and I'm going to leave an opening for the bow. This tends to be my go-to bow anymore. I just wrap it around the pegs 3 times and then leave those are my tails. It's just such an easy ribbon bow to make. And then you pinch it in the center and add a chenille stem or zip tie, whatever you choose to use. And then you just fluff out the bow. It just seems to be the simplest bow for me. So here I just pull the loops apart and fluff it, and then I'll dovetail the ends, and then I find a little red star in my stash and I add that to the center. There's so many different things you can add to the center, or nothing if you want. And then I add that to the bottom of the wreath here, and then I'm going to add just a little piece of ribbon so I have something to hang it with, and then this wreath is complete. Okay, this is what you can do if you don't have the little stars that I had. You can take some burlap and then just use a star template to cut it out. Now this particular burlap is a little bit too big of a weave. I would get something tighter weaved, more like fabric. And then cut it out. You're going to cut out 2. And then you're going to glue it around the sides and leave enough room to stuff it. And then you're just going to use like pillow stuffing or whatever you want to use to stuff it. I didn't do that because I was just trying to show you a quick like idea of how you could do it, but I wanted to make mention of that. Okay, I'm going to start out using this sign from Dollar Tree. I flipped it over and used some white chalk paint, and then I took this ribbon that I picked up from Michael's and I cut it out so that it makes the shape of a 4. Now, I know that you guys love when I finish the backs of projects, but life has been hectic and I had to get these put out for you because I didn't want to miss 4th of July. So anyhow, I'm just going to use my Barely Art glue there. I love that's fine tip point. I do have it linked below, and I will glue down the ribbon here to make the number 4. I am obsessed with this ribbon. It is $9.99, but of course I think I got it for at least 50% off, which it's worth it because you get a ton. And so then off to the left there, you see that new nautical rope from Dollar Tree, and it's in their, well, their nautical section. And it's absolutely perfect for this project because it has that navy blue and that kind of cream white. So using my hot glue gun, I will go ahead and glue it all the way around this sign. Okay, now that it is glued down, I'm going to use these letters that I picked up at Daiso, but you could also use any kind of stickers or like these wood letters, also from Dollar Tree. Since these ones were already kind of that neutral color, I went ahead and used those. I didn't show you me sticking them down because I know you know how to do that. So I just put this little piece of twine here on the back of the sign so I can hang it. Now I keep these, if I cut them off of signs and don't end up using them, I kind of throw them in this little bin and then they're ready if I do need to use them. I have these little wood stars that I got from my friend that does wood. I will link her down below. And I colored them navy blue and red, and I just kind of place them around here. I just use hot glue to glue them down, and then this project's done. I absolutely love it. It's so festive and a great use when you have cool ribbon. I have yet to make over one of these cutting board signs, so I popped that off. Was it that easy? No, but I popped it off on screen. But it actually did come off really easy. And then I take the little brads off. I'm going to replace them with some different ones. But anyhow, obviously this one's from Easter, but they do carry these now in their farmhouse section. So you could just grab one of those. I'm going to be covering this with paper, and I'm just using the back side because this is going to be the back side of my cutting board. And I'm just going to take some of my Patriotic scrapbook paper, and I'm going to cut my paper down so that there is going to be a border. And then I'm going to paint the back side of this with my blue chalk paint. So that'll give it a nice blue border. Okay, so now I'm going to cover that front piece with just some red cardstock. Again, you could do whatever you like, whatever you think goes with your scrapbook paper. And then I am going to go over to Creative Fabrica, which is my absolute favorite site for SVGs, printables, sublimation. I mean, that side is my absolute favorite. It's where I get all of my items that I would maybe not find in Cricut Design Space. And I will have in my description like a membership price. It's worth every penny. It's so good. So anyhow, there you saw me put that down with my double-sided tape runner, and then I always use my sander just to make those edges nice and smooth. So you can see there I found a whole file that had different pie printables, so I just printed the apple pie out because what's more American than apple pie? So I am just going to tape that down. Look how fun and vibrant that is. I didn't do anything to it. That is just straight from the file. And I think it looks so cute. I did go to Google Images and I didn't love things I found. Plus, I always feel a little guilty when I just copy something off Google. I'd rather pay for it, you know, and give the artist what they deserve. So now it's just a kind of a matter of assembling this. I am going to put a little hot glue in the middle because sometimes I notice when I just put the paper down with glue or whatever, and I have something heavier on it, like this sign part, when it sits up, gravity kind of takes hold and then the whole paper kind of comes off. So putting that glue down in the center is going to keep this all more secure if you keep this item upright, which you probably will. I love these brads that you can find, or push pins, I should say, that you can find in the office supply section at Dollar Tree. These ones are blue velvet, and they're so pretty. And then just taking some of this ribbon from Hobby Lobby. It's just in their regular section. It's always on sale. It's like $1.50 on sale. And it has a lot. Just going to add a little band right here and then a bow for that center. And then because I know how much you love it, when I finish off the back, I will put some scrapbook paper there on the back so that the back looks nice as well. And then this project is complete. For this first project, I'm going to make a mason jar tabletop decor. I picked up a bunch of these at Christmas, and if you watch my other videos, I pretty much make one for every season. I got the bandana from the Target dollar spot, and I had these chipboard pieces I found in my stash when I recently decided to actually organize everything. And so I'm going to use those today, but obviously if you don't have these, you just cut them out of chipboard or a piece of cardboard, and that will work for you too. And then just a piece of scrapbook paper, and I picked this up at Joann's. So first I'm just going to take off this burlap twine that was already on this. I'm going to set it aside because I am going to reuse it. Again, if you see things like this that you think you might want to recreate, pick up a few because the mason jars are just so cute, and I love making one over for each season. Now I'm just going to sand off some of this glitter here, just so my paper sticks nice and smooth. You can also just use the back if that's easier for you. Sometimes I do that and sometimes I go over the top. So once that I get all that glitter off, I'm going to go ahead and trace that onto my scrapbook paper. Next, I'm going to grab this bandana from the Target dollar spot. It's so cute. And then I'm going to make it into a cover, just like you would have on a normal mason jar that you would, give as a gift. So it's just going to look like that. All-American mason jar gift. Just imagine there is apple pie filling in it. Once I have my paper cut to size, I am going to go ahead and put some Mod Podge on that and secure my paper down to the mason jar decor. While that's drying, I am going to go ahead and paint my star and heart. I just used regular red and regular white paint. And then, of course, the magic of editing, they are already painted. Voila! Now I'm going to secure the bandana onto the top. And like I said, I want to make it look like a cover that you would put on an actual mason jar. This is another image I got from Creative Fabrica. So what I did is I took out that middle part and then I made it so that there's only a white vinyl and blue vinyl, and I just changed that color. And then I'm going to cut it out on my Cricut. Now I only had 12 by 12 sheets, so I made sure that I cut it in a way where I could put both down. So this is the first layer. This is my blue layer. Now I'm using this sign from Dollar Tree from Valentine's because I think this little house sign is so cute, and with the heart, it's like I love America, all that, and I just thought it was a cute sign. But they have plenty of different signs that you can use as well if you don't have this particular one in your stash. So this one just says, welcome to our home. And so this is something you could, of course, use year round if you like. I always feel like red, white, and blue can be any time of the year. Okay, and then you saw off screen I did the H and the M because I did it the same way. Now I'm taking one of these metal stars from Dollar Tree and I'm going to cover it in that same blue vinyl. I wanted it to make sure that it matched. There's so many options that you can use for the O that I think would be really fun. Just looking around in that patriotic section, pieces you could cut off from the sign, all sorts of things, but this is the particular way I went about it. I'm using my slice X-Acto knife. I really like these because they're not as sharp and metal, and it's way less likely to cut yourself. So I'm a little bit clumsy, and so I really like slice products. Okay, so then once I get all the vinyl cut off of this star, I want to use some of the foam tape from Dollar Tree because I want this to pop up off the sign and kind of be like, no pun intended, the star of the show. I'm so funny. And so then I'm like, well, it needs just a little bit more. So I find another star, a little wood star in my stash, and I just paint it white. I actually used my white chalk pen. And I add that to the center, and I think that really just added a little bit extra to the sign. These stars are actually from the Christmas little wood cutouts. And so anytime I have like some of these seasonal items from another holiday that I think will work, like stars, of course, will work for 4th of July. I like to keep them out and not put them away in my Christmas bins. So again, this ribbon is going to work out perfectly. At first I was like, am I going to make a hanger? And I just didn't like that look, and I'm probably not hanging the sign. I'm probably just setting it up against like the wall. So I go ahead and I just feed it through to give it that, you know, red, white, and blue at the top. And then I'll add just a little bow, and this was a super simple project. Very inexpensive, and I think it turned out so cute. I wanted to make some wood firecrackers, so I went into my wood scraps and I found this wood. Not sure what it was used for. I pick up wood scraps off Facebook Marketplace for super cheap, but they already had holes in the top, and I had planned on drilling holes in the top, so it was like a super win. So I'm going to keep one the length that it was already in, and then I'm going to cut the other two down. I want 3 different heights. And so I'm going to just use my miter saw here and then just cut them down a little bit. I hope as you see me using power tools more and more, you will also feel like you can do that. Use them? Yes, that's how I want to say that. Use them. It is a little intimidating, but really it's not hard. And I'm really excited to have something like this, especially because I'm not very strong and it's hard for me to saw just with a regular little saw, and that was super fast and easy. So now that I have my 3 little shapes there, I will sand them a little bit where I cut, and then I'm going to use some paint and some scrapbook paper and make some little firecrackers. And so these are the prints I picked up. They are very, very, very old, out of my scrapbook stash. And then I'm going to use these paints. This is the Waverly and Crimson. And then the blue is called Midnight Blue, and I believe it's folk art, I'm not sure. And then Waverly and Ivory. And so I will cut the paper out and paint, and voila, there you go. They're all painted, and cut the strips of paper out. Now, because the paper is like really distressed, which I love, I'm going to take some of my Waverly Antique Wax, and I'm going to also kind of distress the firecrackers. And on some spots where I may have gotten it a little dark, I just take my paper towel and I wipe it off, and it just gives it that rustic look, and it's not as bright red, so it matches more with the scrapbook paper. And once I get them distressed how I like, I will just use some Mod Podge and put the scrapbook paper on the fronts of these firecrackers. Now I'm going to take my sanding block and I'm going to give these a really good sanding. I want it to be distressed, no paper hanging over, just, yeah, really rustic. Okay, now I just cut out a little piece of the like jute twine, and I'm going to take a little bit of hot glue and I will put it down into this little hole. Now these holes were really deep, so if I had drilled them myself, I wouldn't have drilled them very deep, and then I would have just put the glue down in the hole, but I was afraid it would like go way down and then be pointless. So I get my little wick there into my firecracker, and then I'm going to put all 3 of my firecrackers together. And oh, first I want to tell you about this free printable that Heidi Somble designed, and I will link it down below. Super cute. I went ahead and printed it on transparency paper and then cut one of the tags out. I was looking for cardstock to put in my printer, and I found this transparency paper, and I thought, yeah, I bet we won't ever use this. And so I was like, ooh, I'm going to print some stuff on it and start using it. I like the idea of it being clear. So anyhow, that's how I'm making that tag. And I just cut out some brown cardstock to go behind it. I'm going to take my jute twine and I'm going to go around 3 times in my firecrackers here. And then I'll just tie a couple knots. I will add my tag, and then I'm going to use some of the little star beads that are from Dollar Tree. They have gold, copper, silver, and I'll just add one of those to the little tag. And that's it. I have the cutest little firecrackers here. This would look so cute on a tier tray or just as a little filler in your patriotic decor. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I pretty much used stuff that I had scraps in my supplies, so it definitely didn't cost me a whole lot. So last year I got a ton of these flowers in my Michael's grab bag, so definitely have a lot to use up. So I grabbed one of these star wreath forms from Dollar Tree. Now the star ones are in their wreath section year round. So I'm just going to cut these stems. You could leave the green on or not. I left them on because I felt like it's really good filler. So of course, I know Dollar Tree has red, white, and blue flowers, so you can use those. And their flowers are actually a little bigger, so you wouldn't have to use as many. And then I have these little zip ties. I actually got this whole like kit of zip ties at the 99-cent store, so I was like, oh yay, they have these little tiny blue ones. So I am just going to zip tie the heck out of these, and I'm gonna just go halfway around this wreath. You could do the full wreath. I was worried it might lose the star shape if I did them all the way around, so I just did the left side of this. Okay, now that that's finished, I was originally going to do ribbon around the other part, but it just wasn't going around where it looked nice. So I grabbed these two bandanas from Dollar Tree. I'm going to go ahead and use this one, and I'm just going to glue it down and then, cut it and make it work so that it will glue down on this. This works a million times better than the ribbon because I did try the ribbon at first. I did that off screen and it was not happening. So if you do ribbon, yeah, it doesn't really work. So any kind of fabric, these are a really good deal. You get two of these. So yeah, really good deal. You could choose whichever one. And then this project's complete. So this was a really simple wreath to make. I know sometimes wreaths can be a little bit intimidating, but this one was so easy. You're just zip tying on some flowers and gluing down this bandana, and now you have just this really bright and fun wreath for your patriotic decor. In this project, I'm going to use one of these signs from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go ahead and sand off all of this glitter. After I do that, I realize that I have one of the plain trucks in my stash, and it's going to be so much easier just to paint that. So I'm going to go ahead and use the plain truck. So those are your options if you don't have a plain truck. I'm going to use Waverly in Crimson and this other folk art in Cascade. I kind of wanted to do a little bit different of a blue for this. And I'm going to take some of my wood filler and fill in these two holes that used to be a sign. And I'll go ahead and I will paint this. And I'm just going to fast forward so you don't need to watch me paint the whole thing. But I end up using that red and blue and then some copper. Then I went on my Cricut and I cut out with some white vinyl some fireworks. And I'm just going to put these right down onto this cardstock paper to make my fireworks. And this is a good option if you don't have colored vinyl. It basically gives you so many options. And once I get those stuck down onto my paper, I'll go ahead and cut around them. And I end up making 3 more. I wanted some bigger ones. I kind of missed the size that I was going to do because I think I wanted 3 or 4 inches and I ended up doing like 2. So I'm going to cut a bunch of these out and then I will add them into the back of my truck, because what I'm going to do here is make a cute sign that says Liberty Farms Fireworks. And I have had this huge chalk circle here in my stuff for, I don't know, at least a year, if not more. And it's 18 inches and it's from Chalk Couture, and they had this big clearance sale. I bought like 3 of them and I haven't done anything with them. And what's so great is I can flip this over and make a sign for another holiday. So anyhow, I go ahead and I'm trying to line everything up, and I just measure there just to make sure that everything looks like it's going to fit and be into place. And the way that I designed this is I put an 18-inch circle in Cricut Design Space so that I knew my words were going to fit perfectly. So I'll go ahead and I will flip it upside down because I feel like it's easier to match it at the top. So just make sure you have your words going the right way. Okay, and so once I get that on, I can go ahead and start adding all of my elements onto this big sign. What I love about this sign is it's huge. And it's such a like statement piece. I'm really, really excited with how this one turned out. Okay, so now I'm going to just set my car down, and I'm not gluing it down yet because I want to make sure my fireworks fit here into the back. And so I will go ahead and I will glue those down. Well, I'll stick them down with some double stick tape. And then I'm gonna, on some of them, use the foam tape, the thick tape, so that they pop out a little more and get a little more dimension. And once I get all of my fireworks in, then I can glue my truck down. And I just do that by using some hot glue. And then I thought it would be fun to say that this farm was established in 1776. That would be an old fireworks company, but you know why I use 1776. And then I also cut out some stars to add to the sides. And when I put that in Design Space, what I had done is just flipped it so that the other side would match, but would also be rounded in the correct way. That's pretty much it after gluing everything down. And then I had these cute little star beads that you see up in the right hand corner. And I picked those up. They're all stars. It's silver, gold, and copper. And I went ahead and grabbed one of the copper ones out and glued it to the truck there. And then this was done. You can use that burlap that you see off to the side to hang it. At the time, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do there, but you can see the slot at the top for your ribbon. And this is how it turned out. I love it so much. It's kind of a bummer that you can't really grasp the size, but it's so great. If you watched my last video, you saw these little fabric stars. They are from the Michaels grab bag. They originally came as picks. I took all the picks out, and anyhow, now I have these left and I wanted them to be picks again. So anyhow, I also got that star ribbon from Joann's last year on clearance, and then using one of these little crates from Dollar Tree, I'm going to go ahead and paint that navy blue. And then I'm going to add some floral foam inside the little crate. I'm using my I guess I want a box cutter. I was gonna say X-Acto knife. I have an X-Acto knife as well as scissors from this line. It's called Slice, and it's not metal. I think it's a ceramic edge. I want to make sure I say that right. But I'll link them down below. They're safer than the metal ones, and I'm pretty klutzy and cut myself, so I am happy with those tools. Okay, so I'm going to take some of this star ribbon here and just tie simple bows around each of these star picks. So the way these came, they came as a two-piece. So the big star and the little star were connected. So I just unconnected them. I just cut them a little bit. And again, like I said, I had to put the picks back in them. But this is super easy. So I took 3 big ones and 2 small ones. Okay. And let's see. I'm trying to remember here. What was the next step? Okay, now I'm going to cut these down. So I'm cutting the small ones the shortest, and then I'm going to cut the 2 of the large ones a little less, and then leave 1 of the large ones alone. So that way they stick in there at varying heights. I was noticing that the floral foam was going to fall over, so I do need to glue them in. So I will go ahead and do that. And that 4th of July word up there, it's a little chipboard word, was in my scrapbook stash, and I can tell you it is over 10 years old. So hopefully you can find just a little sign or something you can pop off and put on there. You can always put stickers. You could print something out and just cut it in a rectangle. But I have this and it fits perfect, so of course I've got to use it. And so now I am going to add some of the Spanish moss to the floral foam here, and then this project's complete. I love having little items like this throughout my decor. I mean, you can only have so many signs, and so having something like this that can just sit on your tabletop is something I really enjoy. For the next project, I picked up this Declaration of Independence sign at the Dollar Tree. It's in the school section. And I am going to also try to make this look aged as well. So here's the fun part. I just crinkle the whole thing up, and I'm just going to, crinkle it like I'm going to toss it. But I'm not. It's going to look great. And so this kind of helps too because it had those terrible fold lines. Another thing you can do to kind of get those lines out, you probably could iron it. I don't know. I've never tried that. But you can just mist some water over it as well, and that kind of will reduce some of the wrinkles. But then I just kind of flatten it out here, and you can see it ripped in some spaces, and I like that actually. And so then I'm going to use the same technique that I used on our previous sign, and that's where I put the water around the edges and then I tear. Now on this one I'm only going to do it on the sides because it's going to get adhered to 2 sticks on the top and bottom, so it kind of has a scroll look to it. So again, this is just going to be that same technique that I used on the other sign. Also, this comes also, I believe, with the Bill of Rights in the same package. So really good deal for $1. Again, that's in the school supply section if you're looking for it. What do you guys think of my rainbow nails? I love color. I actually do a lot of farmhouse decor and, neutrals, but I really do love color. And so my color comes out in my clothes and my nails, so you will always see me having some fun nails, and these rainbow ones just made me so happy. And I have to say, when I look down at them, it looks like I have a handful of Skittles. are done, I'm going to add just a little bit of brown paint. And so I just took a sponge, a brand new sponge, and I'm going to get a very small amount of paint onto my sponge. Again, I'm just using the brown from the last project, and I'm just going to barely sweep it across the edges, and then I'm just going to a little bit across the actual sign itself. Okay, so now to make our top and bottom of our scroll, I got these long bamboo sticks, or skewer sticks, excuse me, from the Dollar Tree. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 3 of them. I'm going to cut it down so that it is to the size that I want for my scroll. And I'm going to tie them together to make a bigger piece. Like the toilet plunger wasn't going to be long enough that they have, but I wanted to make it that size. So I go ahead and I just sand the little bit that where I trimmed so there's no sharp pieces. And then I'm going to use some of this jute twine to start it off, and then I will use the nautical rope to go around the whole amount. And so you're going to need 3 packs of the nautical rope. Now, if you want to keep this project a little bit on the less expensive side, then you can just use the jute twine and do that along the whole thing. I just wanted it to be nice and thick, and so that's why I chose the nautical rope. But either way will work. So again, I'm just going to take the jute twine right here, and I'm just going to wrap it around the ends, and this will get a nice tight fit. If I would have started the ends with the nautical rope, it wouldn't have been a tight fit just because of how it glues down. So I'm just going to do this on both sides before I start the nautical rope. And then it's just a matter of wrapping that nautical rope all the way down. And one of these packages doesn't quite go the whole way, so that's why you're going to need 3. And I really only just glue it once at the edge and once at the other edge. So do you all have fingertips left after all your crafting? I think that fingers have gotten pretty callous to the hot glue here. I usually just kind of test it, I let it dry for just a second, and then I just put my hands in there. I do think that having some long nails helps, but also I took the edge of the skewer stick that you just saw, and I will use that too, just to kind of press it down so I don't totally burn my fingers. But, you know, hey, they're all callous. You know I'm a real crafter, right? When you can touch hot glue and, you know, not scream. You'll have to let me know if you've got those calloused fingers too. Okay, so now that our two sticks are done, we can go ahead and attach them to the top and bottom. And I'm just kind of making sure that they're equal on both sides. And this is so easy. You're just going to roll it right up to the top into the glue and do this on both sides. And I mean, couldn't be much easier. Okay, now I'm just going to add some of that jute twine to the top, and this will be our hanger. I actually made mine just a little bit long, but that's no problem because you can always tie a knot in the top to make it shorter. But yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be strong enough, but again, it was. It's been hanging on my wall and no problems. And then once that's attached, our project is done. I also have some of these tags in my stash. They are from the 99-cent store, but you can find something similar at Dollar Tree. And then this burlap is from Dollar Tree. I was super excited to find this. Yeah, really good find. So I'm going to just do a quick cutout here around the shape of this tag, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. I do want to use this back side because it is already tan, and then that way when I put the burlap down, it'll all match because you can kind of see through this burlap. And don't you worry, at the end I did put some contact paper over the back side, or what used to be the front side, so that this would look finished. Now what I want to do is I want some of that tan tag to show through. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that tag that I just cut out, and I'm going to cut it down just a little bit smaller, and then I'm going to fray the edges and just give it that rustic look. I felt like it needed a little something, so I just grabbed one of my navy blue stamp pads and I just brushed it around the outside. You could use paint as well. This is obviously just easier. Now I'm taking one of these corrugated stars from Dollar Tree and I'm just painting it a light brown. You could use a dark brown. It really doesn't matter what shade of brown you use. We're going to try to make this look a little rustic or rusty. I'm going to add some cinnamon down to it. Normally I put a layer of Mod Podge down first, but I was in a hurry and I wanted to see if it would work this way by just sticking to the paint, and it did. But I will say you're going to get a little bit better of a result if you wait for the paint to dry and then add Mod Podge. But then once I finish it and I like how it looks, I just took it outside and sprayed a clear coat over it. And then it was ready to go and rustic. And what I always love about these two is they smell so good. I felt like the star was blending in too much, so I added the navy blue ink around it again. But now in hindsight, I probably wish would have used a really dark brown instead. I'm not sure how I feel about the blue because it's supposed to look rusty. What do you think? I think it looks good either way, but I probably would have gone with dark brown. And then this is kind of here coming up where my camera turns off. And I was like, oh, I didn't even notice it turned off. I hate when that happens. So what I did is I have some of this rusty wire I got at like a local boutique when I went on vacation. And I've literally had it for 2 years and never used it. So I'm going to use it now, and I'm just going to make a curly Q here. And what I do is I set that on top of our little star there, and then I add that star ribbon around the whole tag and tie it together. Now I feel like I need kind of like some sort of bow at the top, and I love this ribbon from Dollar Tree, but you like cannot tie it like a ribbon. It's really got to be kind of a special use type of thing. I bought a bunch of it because I thought I'd make a wreath, but it's just like burlap kind of, and it's just not very like easy to tie. So I cut it into 4 pieces. So basically I cut it in half and then I cut it in half again. There's 3 different designs, and then I decide that I'm going to make like a messy bow, and then I don't like it. I just don't feel like it works for this project. I think it's a really cute bow, but just it doesn't work for me. So I changed my mind and I just do like a V ribbon tag thing for the top, and I just think that makes more sense because this is a tag. Maybe if this was just like a rectangle sign, this might work better, but because it was a tag, I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. I even cut it down shorter, but you know, sometimes you don't know until you make it and then you're like, nope. So I go with this bow instead. And then I just add a little bit to the center of that ribbon, and then it is complete. For the first project, I'm going to take this home sign from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take some scrapbook paper that I picked up from Joann's and a scrap piece of wood that I just had in my stash. And then I'm just going to paint that piece of wood with a darker red paint. And I want a really thin layer because I kind of want it to look almost like a stain and more rustic. Now I just grabbed a baby wipe just to kind of wipe off some of this excess paint. You can use a Clorox wipe, you can use a wet paper towel. It really doesn't matter which one, just something with some moisture that can wipe up the extra paint. Now I'm going to take this home sign and I'm going to go ahead and break apart the letters. They break apart pretty easily. At first I leave the little prongs in there thinking that I'm going to keep them to put everything back together, but then it ends up being better just to kind of take the little metal pieces off the 2 letters. that have them. So now I'm just going to trace around my letters onto my scrapbook paper. And this first one, I'm not sure why I was doing it the hard way and tracing on top of the pattern. I normally always flip it over and do on the back, so I definitely recommend that, and I do that on the other letters. So you just pick out your print for each letter, trace it, and cut it out. And this is the part that I previously mentioned. I just take my needle nose pliers and I just kind of pick out those little pokey prongs that were originally holding this together, because when I attach it later on, I really didn't need those. And now it's time to Mod Podge these papers onto the letters. And something you're going to learn about me is that I am a scrapbook paper addict. The amount I have, I could easily open a store. I absolutely love the patterns. I love mixing patterns. So you'll probably see a lot of this type of stuff in my videos. I just really think it adds something extra than just painting it. Now with this project, you absolutely could just paint these letters red, white, and blue. But again, I love patterns, and this paper from Joann's, I think it was 4 for $1, so really affordable, and yep, I just love it. Real quick, I want to show you this pen X-Acto knife. And so it's a really tiny blade, kind of like you would find in your Cricut. So you can cut more like circle with it. And honestly, I forgot I had it when I was cutting out my O. Alright, so I wanted to make a saying to go on the bottom of my sign. And so I came up with home of the free because of the brave. And I just made that on my Cricut. And real quick, before I do that, I just sanded down the edges of my home sign, and this just gets off any extra paper. It also just gives it a little extra rustic farmhouse look. You can use sandpaper, but I find that I really like just using a nail file. It's really easy to hold and do around the letters. I'm new at using vinyl with the Cricut, and I really appreciate the tips that I got on my last video. They were really helpful, and that was to put your image upside down when you're peeling it off, and that worked so much better. So that's all I do right here, and I mean, what a big difference it was just by flipping it over. So again, I so appreciate tips. Please comment with tips whenever you might have one, because I will probably use it. Now it's time to glue my letters back together. Now, one thing I want to mention, you want to make sure the bottoms of your letters all line up so they are flat. I kind of missed the mark a little bit on the M, So just really make sure that when you're putting it on, you hold the letters vertically to make sure, again, that the bottoms are all flat in the same level. I'm just going to quickly sand around my base. I just, again, want to make it even more of a rustic feel. I got this fabric at Hobby Lobby on clearance, and I knew I have an 18-inch pillow, so I cut it to like 21 inches, and that was too big. So I would keep it like more like 19 and a half is probably enough. And then I'm using some of this ribbon from Dollar Tree. This other little less wide ribbon is just something I had in my stash, and I'm just going to sew them down onto this fabric just to make my pillow a little bit more interesting. And let me tell you, I got my sewing machine out. I have not sewed in years. I can almost sew a straight line, almost. So I make my best attempt at doing that, but thankfully this is supposed to look kind of rustic, so you know, if it's not perfectly straight, you know, that's okay. I'm turning it to the side now just to make sure that I pin it correctly, and thankfully I kind of have those lines to guide me in the fabric. I have a funny story on this fabric. It was in their little clearance bin, so I walked over and I said, I'd like a yard of this, and there was just a hair more than a yard. She goes, do you just want the whole piece? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. She literally spent all this time figuring out how much this extra little portion was, and it was 16 cents. And I just have to laugh. I'm glad Hobby Lobby got their 16 cents. Okay, anyhow, so I take it to my sewing machine, and I am going to go ahead and put a strip down here. I'm going to do 2 on that smaller one because now my bigger one is tucked under, and so 3. Then I sew around the sides and the top. I actually meant to do the bottom. Let's see. I meant to sew the top, but I actually sewed the bottom, but oh well. Anyhow, I did the corners, I cut them off, and I cut off any excess fabric, and then I will turn this inside out. So this is where I was too nervous that I'd make it too small, and then I made it too big. So what I recommend is, if you are worried about that, fit your pillow in when you do 2 of the sides, and then you can kind of tell how much fabric you'll have, and you can sew it a little tighter. But it works out. It's okay. It's a homemade pillow. It's supposed to look homemade. Okay, so here is my pillow. It's just some extra pillow I have that I'm never going to use, so putting it inside here. Now here is where you can hand sew the bottom. You could put a zipper in if you are really good at sewing, which I am not. I don't trust myself to try a zipper. I'm just going to go the easy route here, and I'm just going to hot glue the bottom here together. Actually, it ends up being the top. It worked out really well. You can't tell, especially for something that's decorative. You're only going to put out, you know, once a year. Hot glue works just fine. And you could have hot glued this entire project or used fabric glue. I have one of these stars left from the grab bag from the other crafts, and so I just hot glue it on. I just thought it added such a cute little thing to it, and since it's like a little mini pillow, it just works. And I really love the way that this patriotic pillow turned out. For this beaded garland, you are going to need some wood beads. I got these off Amazon. I got this paper napkin from the Target dollar spot, but you can get it anywhere. Red, white, and blue paint. Some of this jute cord twine from Dollar Tree. Again, my chipboard star. Getting my use out of those. And a little tag. I picked this up at Michael's on clearance for 47 cents, but I've seen these pretty much at any craft store. Now the easiest way I found to paint my beads is I put some paint and some water into a bowl, and then I just roll the beads around until they're completely covered. And then I either put them on a skewer or any kind of wire, something I can put them on to dry. This is the easiest way I have found to cover them. I'm going to paint my star blue and my tag white. And now I'm going to take the paper napkin and I'm going to cover the star. I painted it blue just so that because the napkin has a little translucentness to it, I wanted there to be a color underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And now it's time to string the beads. I put a little bit of masking tape, painter's tape at the tip to make it easy to feed the beads. I chose to do red, white, and blue, red, white, and blue. But what I didn't say earlier is that the white beads are actually smaller. I just like the difference in size, and I just think that turned out really good with those different size beads. Once I am done feeding the beads through, I'm going to double, triple knot each end just to keep those nice and secure, and I kind of like the look of the larger knot. And then once I have that complete, I will attach it to the tag and this project will be complete. Since there's no hole in this tag, I decide to make a little twine bow to put over that area. So hopefully it kind of looks like it's an actual tag. And I just think that added a little extra to it. And then I'm going to flip over my tag when I glue it. And I decide to kind of finish the back in case you can see it. And then I add just a little bit more of that napkin on the back just to finish it off. That's an optional thing you can do. I grabbed this Dollar Tree patriotic sign. I'm flipping it over, and I'm not going to do anything to the front side because it's already patriotic. So if anyone sees the back side, we're good. It's like double sign. I really love these ribbons from Dollar Tree, like I said, but I just finding that I need to use them in non-ribbon ways. So I'm cutting them kind of like strips of scrapbook paper. So I just cut them to size. I want the tan on the back here to be a border. So I cut these just a little bit smaller. And then I will take some Mod Podge and glue them down. And then I cover one of these wood stars from Dollar Tree with some navy blue paint. And then I'm going to take that same paint and paint around the edges of the sign. Now this is going to all these pieces today are all going to go together. I think they make a cute little vignette. I'm going to glue down this star, and then I'm just going to kind of decorate the star a little bit, and then this project's complete. Now, if you haven't seen my last video, I show you how to make this little burlap star, but you know, it's basically just cutting out two different kinds of burlap and gluing them on top of each other. And that burlap is all from Dollar Tree. And then I have those 3 wood stars you see up off the top. That's just some wood pieces I had in like a grab bag I got. I'm not going to paint them. I like just the wood color. It has that rusticness to it. And then I grab my scrapbook paper and stickers, and I just find something that I think matches. Again, here is where you can get creative. Dollar Tree has all sorts of stickers and rub-ons, and you can add that. And this project is complete. We're going to make a porch sitter with 4 of these signs from Dollar Tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 of them and put them side by side, and then using popsicle sticks and the bigger sticks and glue those to the back. And I'm going to do this twice. So I'm going to do this one you're seeing here on screen, and then off screen I'm going to do another one that looks just like it. And then I'm going to butt the ends up together and adhere those together as well. Hope that makes sense. And so I'm going to use wood glue as well as hot glue. I live in a hot climate, so it's definitely important for me to use the wood glue. I also think it will adhere better. And so I'm just going to put a bunch of these down. I do end up going back after the whole thing is done because it's still a little bit flimsy, and I use some duct tape and put it all along that center crease where the 2 boards meet. You could also use when you're putting the 2, so you got your top 2 signs and your bottom 2 signs, when you're putting those together, you could use like some long wood dowels to connect them, and I think that would make it stronger as well. And then I went to my Cricut and I cut out a stencil, and I just used the contact paper from Dollar Tree because it is removable, so it makes it for a inexpensive transfer. And so I am doing God Bless America, and I cut them separately so that one, I could fit it all because I only have a 24-inch mat, and 2, because I'm going to do some in blue and some in red. So I am using transfer tape just like I would if I were putting vinyl down. And I think I used like too strong of transfer tape because it was sticking. But it's okay, it all worked out. And then using my little sponge dauber, I'll go ahead and sponge the paint down into the stencil. Now make sure when you're peeling up the stencil, your paint is still wet. And also make sure you have plenty of wipes and paper towels because my stencil was very wet with paint, which obviously makes sense. And I'm just going to do, like I said, I'm doing blue for the God and America and the little stars on there, and then bless is going to be in red. Okay, and now I'm just going to add some ribbon to the top and bottom. This ribbon is actually in the coastal section at Dollar Tree, but you know, it's red, white, and blue. Works perfect. I'm going to overlap it so that I can glue it on the back side as well, and that'll just give it that nice look. And then I just took that same ribbon and made a regular little tie your shoes bow and added it to the center. And that's it for this project. You could easily do more to this to decorate it more, but I wanted to keep it somewhat simple, and I really love the way this turned out. Okay, using another one of these signs from Dollar Tree, I paint the back in vintage blue chalk paint. And I always pick up these round signs because, I mean, I always use them. So again, like I used in the last project, I have these galvanized stars and then the corrugated stars. And I'm going to use 4 of each one. So if you can't find one or the other, you could just use all the same. But these should be in your crafter's square. And then again, I went to my Cricut and I cut this out, and it says, obviously here in the white, it says USA, and then in red, I'll put down the God bless. And then I'm just gonna start attaching the stars onto the sign. So what I did to make sure they were equal is I did the ones I went top, bottom, side to side, and then it was really easy then to fill in the other ones so that they were equal distances apart. So you can see there I used some E6000 as well as hot glue so that these stay on really well. I like to use that combo for a fast adhering, but then also a long lasting adhering. So you can see I put the 2 triangles of the stars onto the sign, and then the other 3 are going to be off the sign. Of course, you can make them more onto the sign or more off of the sign. This is what I chose to do. And that's it. I did put a little piece of twine on the back so I can hang this. Again, a super quick and easy, fun project. I got a couple of these cars, well, trucks in my Michael's grab bag. As you can see, they're Valentine's. And so I definitely knew I could either make some into a Christmas truck or a 4th of July truck. So we're going to make the 4th of July truck today. So I'm just going to pop off these felt roses that are just glued down here. And then using my finger sander, I just kind of sand down the glue that's left over. And then I'm going to use one of these wood pieces to cover this part. Now you could just paint the back, but I'm going to do this so I can kind of push it up a little more, have a little bigger of a piece. And I will cut that down and paint that, paint it blue. Now if you don't have this, obviously, because I got it in my Michael's grab bag, Dollar Tree has a lot of signs like this that you could definitely make over and do something very similar. Okay, so this utensil set from Dollar Tree, it's a little wooden utensil set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all the handles off, and these are going to become our firecrackers. So I'm just making a bunch that are going to be the tall parts, and then I'm going to cut little like kind of triangle pieces, and then kind of a long rectangle piece, and that will put my firecrackers together. And so what I decided to do is, since there's 3 patterns here, I decided to just kind of switch up the patterns back and forth, and just using some hot glue I will put those all together. Okay, then I just cut out this little image here from my Cricut as well. I do believe this was actually just in Cricut's design space. I thought it was really cute. I love that, the word vibes. I love that font. And so just adding that to it. But of course you could use any kind of sticker, or you could write, you know, Happy 4th of July, whatever you would like. And then I'm going to glue everything down, and this project is complete. And I think it was a fun way to use up something from my Michael's grab bag. For the next garland, you are going to need red, white, and blue paint. You're going to need this burlap garland from the Dollar Tree, letters from the Dollar Tree, any star to draw around, and some masking tape or painter's tape, and a paintbrush, of course. I'm going to start by taking off one of these U stickers and placing it in the center of my banner. I'm going to end up spelling out USA and having a star on each side. So this will be 5 of these triangle banners. Then once I get my U secured, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to make 3 strips of tape. And I'm going to tape them to the outsides of the triangle. And then, once that's secure, I will be able to paint the inside. And another easy peasy banner is complete. I'm going to take one of these wood stars from Dollar Tree. I covered it in Mod Podge, and then I laid it facing down on the fabric and let it dry. And you didn't need to watch me glue it down. I figured you could figure that out. So now I'm just going to cut the fabric that goes around the star, and I'm not going to cut it super close to the edge. I'm going to leave just a little bit of fabric overlay, and then what I'm going to do with that is kind of just take my fingernails and fray the fabric and just give it just a little bit of extra texture. I'm going to take one of these garden stakes from Dollar Tree and just pop it off. They always come off really easy. I've never had a hard time just bending them until they pop off, so that's always nice. And then I'm going to glue this cute little bicycle down to the star. It stayed just fine with hot glue, so that's a win. Sometimes hot glue and metal don't work well, but I think because it was to fabric, it worked really well. And then I covered one of these wood signs from Dollar Tree with some scrapbook paper. I just glued it down, and then I always use a sanding block to go around the edges. It gives it that little white edge, plus it makes it nice and perfect around your circle. And then I'm going to glue the star down to the circle piece here, and then I go into my stash and I'm trying to find something, to put at the bottom, and I found this little license plate sticker. Oh my gosh, I was like, license plate, bicycle? I mean, we used to do that in the 80s, right? You had to put a little license plate in the back of your bike. But anyhow, I thought it worked out perfect. And it needed just one more little thing, so I made a little bow from some ribbon that I picked up at Hobby Lobby and added that to the top. And then this sign is complete. This is such a quick DIY using all Dollar Tree items. This ribbon is so cute, and I always find a hard time using, ribbon with like trucks or things on them because then they kind of disappear. So this worked out great. I used one of their wood pencil holders and just wrapped this ribbon all the way around and glued it down with my hot glue gun. Now, and then, okay, so this is the one thing that's not from Dollar Tree, and that's just I went to my Cricut, and using design space, I cut this out. Land of the Free, Home of the Brave, and just put it down onto this sign. I really love these signs from Dollar Tree this year. They're so good. Okay, and using one of these corrugated metal stars, also from Dollar Tree. They come in a pack of 3, and I'm just going to glue it to the back of this, and it'll give it that neat peekaboo, metal look. I just love that. Okay, so now it is time to attach my pencil holder here using some E6000 and hot glue. I will attach it down to the bottom there. And then I cut a piece of floral foam down to fit inside there, and I am going to glue it so it stays put. And then I grabbed this bouquet also from Dollar Tree. I thought it was really fun how it had striped flowers and then the blue flowers. So I cut them down a little bit smaller there, and I just fed them down into my floral foam. And that's it for this project. It's so easy, and I just think it is so cute. And I'm going to put this out onto my porch. If you've been with me for a while, you know I love making over these Christmas signs from Target. So I just added some of the wrapping paper from Dollar Tree to cover that Christmas tree you saw. And on the back side, that was from about 2 videos ago where I made a summer sign. And these are so great because I can just hang them all year round, any one I want. So of course I wanted to make one for 4th of July. And so I'm just going around with my ink pad and distressing the sides because these papers do have that distress look. So what I'm showing you here is just how to have fun with printed paper and elements, okay? It's so fun, just start cutting out paper, laying the patterns down. You know I'm a paper crafter at heart, and so this project is just for fun to show you just what you can do with papers. This is only going to be using papers. I could have used ribbons and buttons and all sorts of other ephemera to really put this over the top. But I really wanted just to show you how simple using some papers can be. So I first just cut this background piece. It's going to be kind of my center point. And then I just took a bunch of the other printed papers and some solid, and I just started cutting out like, would you call that? Like banner tags. And I'm just going to start layering them down. And I'm going to layer some just the way they are, and then other ones I'm going to use the double-sided foam tape from Dollar Tree, and I will also lift some of those off the paper. And what I was showing you right there is I did use another one of those tags. That was from Heidi's free printable, and again I will link that down below. And so I chose the one that said, God shed his grace on thee. So again, I'm just going to start layering these little banner tags down onto my paper. and you can see the dimension here when I flip it on its side. So I do have these stickers too. I don't think they came with this paper. I'm not sure, but they were in my stash too. I'm telling you, it's probably a good 10 years old. So I was kind of trying to see if that little fourth tag would work, but I just thought it was too white. If I had printed it onto like a cream colored cardstock, it would have been perfect. So anyhow, I'm just going to start layering elements. It's just fun, and it kind of can't mess it up. I know it's very intimidating, but you just start adding little things here and there. And again, I'm using a lot of this double foam tape from Dollar Tree just to give it a lot of raising up. Also, I forgot to mention, when I was putting all of these papers down, I was trying out the Dollar Tree tape runner. So I use tape runners all the time. And so I was like, oh, Dollar Tree has them now. You can see me using it right here. So I thought, oh, I'll give this a try. So I will say it did work well. It does go on smoothly. It does seem to stick very well. It's a little small. So if you have big hands, it might be hard to maneuver. I have child-sized hands, so it worked fine for me. And then so they come in a pack of 2, and I used 1.5 on just this project. So it doesn't get you very far, but it does work. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars, because it does do everything it's supposed to do. But that half star that it's missing is going to be because it is pretty small and because it doesn't last very long. All right, so as you see, I'm just playing with these little elements, having a good time, just, putting them all around my project. And then I'll just punch the holes back into the top, and I'll hang it on my little Target sign that I bought. And again, if you haven't been with me, I purchased a sign from the Target dollar spot at Christmas time, and it came with 4 of these cardboard pieces, double-sided, and they each had some sort of Christmas graphic on it. So I picked my favorite one, and that's what I'll put up at Christmas time. And now, for every holiday, I've just been decorating one of the sides. So I have an Easter one, a Valentine's one, I have a summer one, I have a 4th of July one, and I will do, a fall one and a Halloween one. And they're just so fun to make because it's just a way to expand the creativity, and this is how it turned out. And I thought it was really fun. I love picking up signs on clearance. This one is from Ross, and it was 49 cents. I knew I could paint it and make it over. Hobby Lobby is another place that has really cheap signs that you can make over. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Rust-Oleum paint in linen white and cover that Faith Over Fear. I taped it off so that I could keep that red border. Now I'm going to measure, and in this case I did 2 inches at the bottom and 2 inches at the top, and I'm going to do like a color blocking image here. And I got this idea from something I saw at Hobby Lobby, and that's always fun to go somewhere, kind of take some pictures of things you want and then make them at home with what you have. So their sign was definitely a different size, but you can always, work with what you have. So I'm going to tape this off so that I get nice crisp lines, and then using my Waverly chalk paint in crimson, I'm going to paint these stripes here. Now I'm going to have the whole bottom will be red, and then just a small piece on the top there will be blue. So I'm marking that off. You see that little silver paper there? That'll come into play in a minute, but I was just using that as a measuring point. Okay, and off screen I did that vintage blue up at the top and all the way around the sides. Now I went into my Cricut design space and I measured how big this piece was, and then I made a rectangle in design space so that I knew my lettering was going to fit perfectly. And so that is how I came to cut out the letters. Now, because this is like a chalk paint and it seemed a little like, I don't know, like I was afraid it was going to peel up. So I just took some Mod Podge there and I'm just going to put it across the whole project so it's nice and secured. Okay, using this galvanized paper from Hobby Lobby, I cut a strip here, and then I used my little star punch that I have in my stash, and I measured down the middle so that I would always kind of cut my star in the same spot. Were they perfect? No, but they worked great. And so star punches are something you should be able to find at any craft store, or you can actually just cut them out on your Cricut if you have one. You should be able to line them up actually perfectly and then just put this paper through your Cricut. So that would probably be the way to go, but I wanted to show you an alternative. So I make 2 of those strips and I put them down the side and they give that metal look. The one I saw at Hobby Lobby did have actual metal, so I thought this was a great dupe. Once I get these down, I will go ahead and start putting down my lettering, and then this project's done. It was super easy to make and obviously did not cost me a whole lot, just some paint, vinyl, and paper. So I probably spent maybe $1.50 on this project, which saved me because I believe the Hobby Lobby one was $20. Alright, I hope you enjoyed these projects. I also want to invite you over to Instagram where I share hauls, all these DIYs, organization tips, and my personal life. My name over there is dollar__mom, and I hope I see you over there. Before I get started, I wanted to show you this cart that's in my craft room. So it is a 3-tier cart, plastic cart from Target. I want to say it's $15 or $20, and then with little organizers from Dollar Tree. And I use this every season. So I go into my tub that I've put away for the seasons and I pull everything out, and then I have all of my embellishments and projects that I want to make all ready to go. So I've pulled a few pieces out of that cart and I'm kind of playing around with what might look good on this American continent. I can't think of like map. I don't even know what you call it. So anyhow, I have this little United piece from Joann's. I like to pick these up after the season. They're usually like 30 cents, 60 cents. So I painted it red. I painted some white stars. Those are from Dollar Tree at Christmas. And then I just went around the border of this land piece. Why can I not think of what this is called? Anyhow, I went around it with blue, and because it is raised up, and then I just glue these down. That's it. It's such a super simple project, but I just really love how clean and high-end it ends up looking. And I just taking my wood glue and painting it onto the pieces and gluing them down. And then that project is complete. Okay, so since the star has a kind of raised border, went ahead and traced it, and then I went 1/2 inch all the way around so that my paper will be smaller than the star. Once I get that all cut out, I'm going to use that little brave piece. I almost used it in the last project, and I'm just going to color it with my chalk marker. And as you can see here, here is the star that I've cut down lower, and you can see the brown in the back, which I really like. I'm just going to glue it here with a glue stick. I'm going to take that little whitewashed star ornament that I picked up at Hobby Lobby at Christmas. It came in like a pack of 4 for like $2 or something. That was a really good deal. So since it's an ornament, I'll just cut off that little loop there, glue it down, glue the brave down. Again, a super simple project, but I think it looks really high end, and I love kind of the farmhouse look that it has. For this wreath, you're going to need a wire wreath form from the Dollar Tree wrapped with some ribbon, and you can use one of their pre-made bows or you can make your own. You're going to need some jute twine, some more of this ribbon from Dollar Tree, and then you'll need this 3-star sign and this USA sign. All of this is from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to start out by cutting some 8.5 inch strips of this ribbon, and it just depends how many you want to cut and how many bows you're going to make with this. So yeah, just keep cutting them out, making bows till you get as many as you like on your wreath. Okay, and you're going to take the ends of your ribbon and you're going to hot glue them together. Now keep in mind, burlap is kind of a little bit tough when you put hot glue on it because it can burn your fingers. So make sure your fingers are covered, or you're like me and you've burned your fingertips off already. And so just, yeah, hold that tight, use your fingernails. Okay, so I'm zooming in here because I want you to be able to see this. You're going to cut a piece of jute twine, and this is going to come to be the center and how you tie your bow. So you're going to fold it in half, then you're going to fold it in half long ways. Okay, you can see that bow going. Then you're going to kind of tuck back in the direction you just came from, so the opposite direction. And that's going to make your bow. So you're just going to pinch it like that. You're going to put your twine over it, flip it upside down, and then you're going to want to make 2 tight knots. Okay, and you'll just trim those edges. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make another one for you so I know that you could see how I did it, because I know the folding can be a little tricky, but it just makes a simple bow. Okay, so I'm going to cut another 8.5 inch strip. And again, this isn't like has to be that exact size. I mean, if you use a 9 inch or 7 inch, that's okay too. This is just the good size that I found works on my wreath. But I'm going to actually make 2 different sizes. So you're welcome to make 3 different sizes, 4 different sizes, however many you want, because we're just going to kind of mix and match them to the side of our wreath and just give it that extra character. Okay, so now I'm going to make the smaller size bow, and this is going to be 3.5 inches. So I'm going to cut a couple of these. Again, you're going to make like 20 bows. You're just going to keep making them until you fill up your wreath to your liking. But I'm just showing you 2 of each here so you'll get an idea of how to make them. And if I'm worried at all that the knot's going to kind of slip, especially on these smaller ones, I'll just add a little dot of glue just to secure it extra. Okay, so now I'm going to take apart these 2 signs, the stars and the letters USA, and I'm going to kind of start placing stuff on the wreath to get an idea of where I want to place it. Okay, so you're probably going to be surprised that I'm actually adding the bow first. And so this bow is really easy to add because it just has that wire thing on the back that you can just tie it to the back, but I am going to add a little glue just to give it extra security. The reason I'm starting with the bow is because I want to make sure that I'm able to create around and under the bow just enough. I've noticed that when I add a bow at the end, sometimes I have too much stuff in the way and then the bow doesn't lay right. So I'm actually adding the bow at the beginning and you'll see why. Okay, so now I'm going to start securing some of my bows. I'm going to start with the bigger bows, place a couple, then I'm going to put the smaller bows in between, and I'm just going to start adding in the bows so that it has good coverage. Okay, so now that I've got my USA placed how I like it, I'm going to go ahead and adhere it on to the wreath. So I'm going to adhere the letter to the star. And then to connect the stars to the wreath, I'm going to hot glue a piece of twine to the back and then tie it around, and hopefully that gives it a little extra sturdiness. I've seen a lot of people use a pipe cleaner, which you could use too. Really, I just had the twine on hand, that's why I chose it. The pipe cleaners probably work even better. But this is, again, this is just going to give it that little bit of extra and to keep it secure onto the wreath. So I purposely left this little bit of red showing because I wanted to fill in the bows after my letters were on. When you work at it this way, then you don't run into the problem of things not fitting properly, you know, having something lay on top of something else that doesn't really work. So I try to do it in pieces. like this so that everything lays and fits nicely. So I'm just going to fill in those gaps, and then the project is going to be complete after I put a hanger on it. And this is the finished wreath. I love how this turned out. It looks really good on my door. What I like about this wreath is I've never seen one with bows like this. And honestly, the reason it came to be is because that ribbon, burlap ribbon, was so hard to work with that tying it like I normally would or looping it just didn't seem like it was going to work out well. So these bows for the win on this wreath. Another item I picked up at the Target dollar spot was this acrylic sign. It is $3 and I think it's about an 8.5 by 11 size. And then you can see the little legs there. So I'm going to start off by using my chalk paint here, and I'm going to paint just a square here at the top. Now I'm painting the flag backwards because I'm going to flip this over. So I'm using just really light strokes. I want it to not be solid. I want it to kind of have that rustic look, and so I'm just going to paint it like that. So the blue is a new product from, I shouldn't say new product, but new to me. It's called, the brand's Hello Hobby, and I picked it up at Walmart, and the color is vintage blue. And then the red is just Waverly Crimson. So once I get these stripes painted on here and it dries, I will flip it over and decorate. Now I've seen other projects kind of like this, and then they flip it over and they use their Cricut to, you know, put a saying or whatever on it. I've seen these for weddings and baby showers, which are really cute because you could put like you know, welcome with the baby's name, welcome Mr. and Mrs. You just paint like kind of just a color on the back. I just really think it looks great. But I wanted to show you what you could do if you do not have a Cricut. And Dollar Tree always has really great window clings. I love their window clings. I like to use them on lots of different projects. And since this kind of has that, you know, windowy texture, you can just put any of these designs onto this acrylic sign. Super easy. I'm going to go ahead and use this one at the top. I think it looks really rustic, and you can place it wherever you like. And the nice thing too is you can place it, and if you don't like it, you can just peel it off. I have some of this star ribbon. I do believe it's from Joann's. Again, something that I pick up at the end of the season. All my ribbons, it's very rare that I will buy a ribbon during the season. I always am getting them after the season because I want to get them for really inexpensive. Here's another window cling, and I just liked this star, so I put that over there. And then lastly, this cute little blue star ribbon. I just felt like it needed something more at the top, so I just sort of weave this through, and then this project's done. Now, the video cut off when I put the little feet onto this sign, but it's pretty self-explanatory if you pick one of these up. Again, remember, if your Target dollar spot does not have these, check the website. It's really nice that you can just add it onto your order, and if you have a red card at Target, then you get free shipping. All right, and then now this project is complete. For this project, I'm going to need a little box frame here and a little piece of scrapbook paper. Again, the chipboard star and some ribbon and a piece of white cardstock and these window clings. Now on this white frame you see here, it had a succulent in the middle that I ended up using for another project, so that's what you see torn out there, which ends up working out perfect for this project. Now when you take a window cling, they do not cling to paper, so I will have to Mod Podge this onto the paper, but as you see it's kind of clear, and putting it onto the white paper gives it a nice solid background. For the chipboard star, I am going to use True Navy color to paint that. You see my little technique there. I always like to kind of just squirt the paint right onto whatever I'm going to paint. I don't have to dirty anything else, like a palette or anything. You always want to do things that require paint or Mod Podge first, because that way it can dry while you do the other things in your project. Now I'm just going to tie another ribbon, and again I go slow here so you can see how I do it. It's very similar to how I did it on the faux book stack. I'm just going to tie it like I would tie my shoes, but again I'm going to pull my loops tight, and then I'm going to pull my tails until I get the loops to the size that I desire. I wanted to give this little piece of USA some depth, so I grabbed some of this foam double-sided tape from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to add that to the back, and that will help just kind of pop it up a little bit and add dimension. And that's just a matter now of adhering everything together, and this little project will be complete. For this project, I'm going to use this palette flag sign as well as this love sign from Dollar Tree. So I got this palette sign last year after 4th of July from Joann's. It was normally $24.99 and it was 70% off, so I paid $7.50 for it. So I thought that was a really good deal, and I set it aside for this year. So I just painted one of the stripes here in that same midnight blue that I used on my firecrackers. And I'm just going to make each stripe different. I wanted to give it tons of texture, different materials, and whatnot. I just want to make this really unique. So I'm using some of this red burlap from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to Mod Podge it down because it has holes, you know, it's burlap. Other glue might seep through, but a really thin layer of Mod Podge keeps it down really nice, and then I'll hot glue the edges over for extra protection. And then here's another piece of ribbon I had in my stash. It was something else I got on clearance, and I try to pick up as many ribbons on clearance as I can and set them aside. And again, I will just glue that over the edges. Now, the top stripes were longer than 12 inches, so using paper, I had to piece it together. And I will hide this seam later on. And so for now, I'm just going to Mod Podge this on this solid, my goodness, solid, that was what I was looking for, solid color here. And then I'm going to add a printed paper on the top one, and I made sure when I cut it out that I had matched my stripes up perfectly, and I feel like the seam doesn't really show because it is a pattern. And then once I get these two down, I'll flip it over and cut off the excess paper. my camera turned off and you missed out on watching me glue stars down, but I think you get the point. I got these silvery stars off of some other Dollar Tree signs, and so I added those. And then I took some more little ribbons, and this is what I said. This is how I'm going to cover up that seam. And so I'm just going to add these going the opposite way. I decided I don't like them evenly spaced out, so I end up doing like two closer to each other and then big space, and I really like much better how that turned out. So once I glue those down, you can see how they are taller than the stripe, and so I'll feed those down through and glue them onto the back, and that way I'll get a really nice clean placement. I won't have any ribbon fraying or anything like that. And off camera, I painted this love sign. So the two spots that had the pink, I painted one of them red and one of them the blue. And so that was super easy to do because the white was already there. And then after I add this on, I'm going to take my Cricut here and put some vinyl, and it's going to say land that I, and then of course it goes into the love. So it says land that I love. And then this project's complete. I just wanted to do something really unique, not a typical flag, just lots of textures and fun, you know, elements. So let me know what you think. Do you like super traditional, or do you like some of these really unique decor pieces? Dollar Tree always carries the cutest clings, and so I like to take them, cut them out, and use them on projects to make signs. So I cut out that little red truck there, and I'm going to add it to one of these little metal Dollar Tree signs. This is going to be a super quick and easy project. This is just some paint sticks. As you can see, I had cut them. They're the extras that came off of another project. I always kind of throw these in my little scrap pile. And in this case, it works great. I glue them to the back, and that's just because I really want this to be raised off the sign. And I just think it makes it look a little higher end when it pops off. And plus, then I can use these little wood Dollar Tree stars. I'm just going to kind of place them in the back of the truck until I get them to look like I want. Because they're laser cut and very intricate, I put very little glue on the parts, you know, that the parts that I can put it on because there's so many holes, but it stayed really nice. And then you'll see ribbon up there at the top. I just cut some strips of some various patriotic ribbon I have, and I'll just make a little easy little rag bow and add to the top of the project. And that's it. Super quick and easy project. It's actually one of my favorites. I would also like to remind you that I am on Instagram, and I would love to invite you over to my page there. My name over there is $__mom, and there I share all of my DIYs, my hauls from Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Target, etc. And I also check in daily, and I share funny things, and I share my life and all that stuff. So I hope you'll come over there and join me. I think I have a lot of fun over there. For this project, I'm going to use this USA tag sign, which is super cute all on its own. So I'm actually just going to flip it over and keep that back side. I really like it. And of course I bought two so that I could have one that way. And then I'm using this gnome pick garden stake from Dollar Tree as well, and it just pops right off. I knew that I was going to make a sign right when I saw those garden stakes. And then I'm going to just take some scrapbook paper here and cut it out. I pre-cut it here so you could see. And I'm just going to start taping down these papers onto this sign. And so this one, this sheet right here is going to be my background. And scrapbook paper comes in 12 by 12 size, and so usually these signs are like 13 or 14 inches, so you usually have to do like a top or bottom border, which is what I'm going to do here with this stripe paper. And then the blue and red there is just going to be a mat that our gnome can be placed against.
On my way down memory lane, you and me long time ago, and we were teens with tremendous dreams, always playing.
And now with this navy blue piece right here, I cut out on my Cricut the words Gnome of the Brave, and I will link the font down below. Don't remember it off the top of my head, but it's just kind of a cutesy font. Man, my words today, guys. A cutesy font. And I'll just add that onto my navy blue sheet there. You can use little white stickers. I thought I had some little white stickers, but I couldn't find them. And now that I have my little joy here that I got recently, oh my gosh, it's so easy just to whip out little vinyl words and sayings. Oh, so much easier. So once I get that down onto the sign, pretty much just glue it down. I'm going to have to cut a hole back out at the top so I can add a ribbon, and then this project is complete, and I think it's so cute. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope you will stick around by hitting that subscribe button as well as the notification bell. Right, so I hope that you enjoy this cute little project because I certainly love gnomes, and if you've been on my page for a while, then you know I try to make a gnome something for every holiday.
King and queen, we had set our minds to leave, face the world on wheels, cross the border.
I've been collecting the wood stars that I see at Dollar Tree, and here's a few of them that I have, as well as their little burlap. One is left over from Christmas that I got from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to use some of this paint in Midnight Blue, as well as the Waverly in Crimson, and some scrapbook paper, and I'm going to make a hanging, what would you call those? Kind of like a door hanger, but I'm going to hang up on the ceiling. I don't know. I don't know the name of that. You'll have to let me know what you call those when they like dangle from the ceiling. Yeah, I'm going to take all the labels off because you will see both sides of this, and so I'm just going to heat up the labels and peel those off. And once I get all those taken care of, I'm going to decide which ones of my printed papers I want to use for which stars, as well as just I will paint some of them as well. And for this one with the 2 stars, I'm going to pop this one off so that it'll be easier to put the paper on. Be very careful. These things are on there pretty good, and I have cut myself before with the spatula trying to get these things off, and I shot it. But luckily, I found it. So I'm going to take my papers here, and then I will trace around them and cut all the stars out, and then I'm going to paint a couple of the stars as well. So I will be right back and show you what I did.
Take a journey to Dubai, fight the pirates stuck in Disneyland Paris. Take a swim in salty water, drinking stars and holy sun, and then we cross America.
Okay, so now all of my papers are cut out. With this big one, I just painted the sides and back the navy blue, and I will Mod Podge that paper on. And this one, I made a little blue star for the center and stripe paper for that one. And then this one will have this dangling center one where I will do both sides in the polka dot paper. And then I just painted in crimson on the border of that big star. Now this is the only one that didn't have a hole in it, so I will take my crocodile tool and punch a hole in it. If you are not familiar with the crocodile, it is amazing. It goes through tin, wood, hard cardboard, all sorts of stuff. So now I'm just going to decide which one of these I want at each length, and then I will tie a piece of jute to that and decide which ones do I want, high, low, and then I will just tie them all together, and that's it. And just makes a really cute decoration you can hang from your ceiling, you can hang it from your door, you could add it to the bottom of a wreath. There's all sorts of things that you can do. Sometimes projects just don't work out, and this is one of them that originally did not work out. What happened was I was covering this star with some paper, and you can see some little white strips to the right of the screen there. I was trying to make this star tray, and it did not work. So I went to plan B here. And so I just had a bunch of leftover patriotic craft items, and so I just kind of started putting things together and seeing what I would come up with. So I really had no end vision here, just kind of was playing with some of the materials I had. And Mod Podging paper is, you know, always a good one. And then as I was organizing my supplies to kind of see what I had left, I came across these rub-ons that I had bought several months ago. And these are from the Dollar Tree, and they're gold foil rub-ons. Now I had bought the gold foil alphabet rub-ons prior, and they didn't work at all. So I don't know if I got a bad batch or if the alphabet ones just didn't work. And so I kind of been hesitant with how I'm putting this on because I don't want to have the same problem I had with the alphabet ones. But these ones went on really well. They are gorgeous. And so I just kind of started playing around with putting them down on this paper just to see what I would get. And then I decided that I want to cut this in the shape of a star, so I really should have done that first, but again, I didn't have a vision. I was just kind of playing around. So you'll get to watch me rub these gorgeous gold rub-ons down. Like I said, I decide that I want to cut this red paper into a star, and I kind of have it off center, which is why you would do this first. So what I'm doing is, I know I want the star to be fit inside this, so I'm going to cut it to this size, and then I will cut it down from there. And so I have this Bless Our Nest sign from the Dollar Tree, just a nice round sign, and I think that my star will look good on top of this. So I just wanted a very simple pattern paper to put on this. So it's just a very light, it's a white with very tiny, they're either black or navy blue polka dots, like very tiny. And so I just think that that will look good, and then I will glue my stars down on top of that. After I glued all these down, the next day I just thought it still looks too plain, so I got a gold charger also from the Dollar Tree, and I ended up gluing this whole piece onto that, and I just think that's what ended up making it pop. And then I added a tiny little bow, and here it is. Kind of reminds me of Captain America's shield, but you know, I think it turned out good considering it was a whole nother direction from the original. Going to be a simple stand-up star. Sometimes you want things to be a little bit more basic because you know you don't want to overpower it with a lot of patterns and everything. So I grabbed this star from the Dollar Tree craft section, this red burlap ribbon that I cut into strips, some decorative ribbon, and some glue. So what I'm going to do is just cover this star in this burlap ribbon. I'm going to just trim it and add a bow, and this will just be a simple thing, like I said again, to add to your decor that will not be overpowering to the other things that you have just made. For this next project, I'm going to use 2 of these unfinished wood tags. I'm going to use these unfinished wood letters from the Dollar Tree, some ribbon that I've picked up, and I actually found quite a bit at Hobby Lobby in clearance, so that was nice. Some navy blue paint, some Mod Podge, and again, the same scrapbook paper that I used in the last project. I picked up 2 sheets of everything. Now for these wood tags, my sister purchased something in bulk and I got them from there, but you can purchase them at Michael's and Joann's. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to paint my wood letters, and I spell out God bless the USA. Now you're going to need 3 packages of these from the Dollar Tree because they only have 1 of each letter, and when we say bless and USA, that's 3 S's. But you will have a lot of letters left over for lots of other projects. So I will go ahead and I will magically paint those navy blue. Now I'm going to decide how I want to lay out my scrapbook paper. Scrapbook paper is typically 12 by 12 and these are taller than that, but that's okay because I actually wanted to mix the patterns. And so I just kind of play around with how I want the papers to look. And then I'm just going to trace them out on these tags and cut them out and just add them on with some Mod Podge. Now I'm going to use a paper trimmer to cut because it makes nice and straight lines, but of course you can use scissors, but as a paper crafter, this is a must tool. Whenever you Mod Podge, make sure that you do a nice thin layer so that you don't get it overly wet. That's how you're going to get wrinkles in your paper. And just be extra careful. Always when you're pressing down your paper onto your Mod Podge, make sure you press from the center out. I do get a little bit of a bubble on this one, and that was because I was being a little bit more impatient. The more patient you are, the flatter and more smooth your project will be. Typically when I Mod Podge, I will set the project aside and work on something else while it's drying, but for the purpose of this video, I go ahead and I use my hairdryer just to get it going so I can get on to the next step. Putting the Mod Podge over the top of your project is definitely a optional thing. I thought this might go on my front door, so you definitely want to have it covered by the elements. And I'm using a matte finish. I really like that kind of a finish. I'm not a big fan of glossy, so it's up to you what your choice is. But again, I'm just going to cover both of my pieces so that I can put this outside. Now I'm just going to flip over the boards and find the hole there and just punch those out, and then I will line up those holes so that this can be a hanging tags. I'm going to go ahead and space out my letters here, decide where I want them, and then I will glue them on. I'm going to go ahead and glue these two tags together. Otherwise, they would probably just, one would be on top of the other one when it hangs. So this will just help them hang exactly how you want it to look. I'm not sure what you call this kind of bow, but I use it a lot when I have some really fun patterns and they're not wire. And so it's just a way to, like I said, use a bunch of different patterns because, as I've said before, I love mixing patterns. So I go ahead and I decide how big I want my bow, and I cut 2 of each colors of the ribbons, and then I'm just going to lay them out in an X and just kind of alternate what the direction is, and that is going to be how I create this bow. Now I'm going to take some of this jute twine, and I'm going to, this is before I make my ribbon, and I'm going to feed it through the hole and make a hanger for this. And then I'm going to cut another little piece, and I'm going to lay it underneath all my ribbons, and that's going to be how I tie my ribbon together. Now I'm going to finish the ends of my ribbon to make them look nice. And I have a question for you guys. When you do this cut, do you guys call it a duck tail or a dovetail or something totally different? I started to say one thing and then I started questioning myself. And so now I'm not even sure what these kind of tails are called. But on my bigger ribbons, I do this type of cut, and you just do that by folding it over. You go somewhere in the middle and then you cut down to the corners and it makes this nice edge. If my ribbons are skinnier, then I just do a slanted cut just so they don't fray. And now that the ribbon is complete, I will just go ahead and hot glue this down. And if you want just to make your bow stay exactly how you like it, you can just put little dots of glue between the pieces of ribbon so it's not quite so floppy. But I kind of like that look, so that is what I did. And I just love the way this turned out. Again, I will link down below Michael's and Joanne's where you can get these tags. For this project, you're going to need 2.5-inch size ribbon. I picked this up at Michael's and I used my coupon and I got it for $5. It's a big roll. You're going to need red paint, these wood blocks from the craft section at Dollar Tree, as well as these wood letters, also from Dollar Tree. Originally I used this burgundy red color, it's a little deeper, and I decided it didn't really go great with this ribbon, so I ended up moving over to just regular bright primary red instead. Now you're going to cut a strip of this ribbon and you're going to wrap this block just like you would a Christmas present. So go ahead and secure it with some hot glue, and then you're going to fold the edges around, like I said, with like a Christmas present. And it works, it's really nice having this wired ribbon because it makes it really easy to bend everything. So unfortunately, my camera dies right around here and you don't get to see me fully fold the sides in. So I hope you can tell by this little bit of footage how I folded those in. Again, I do it just like I would on the side of a present. Okay, so now that this is all folded in, it is a little bit lopsided. I don't know what to say. It doesn't sit flat is what I want to say. So I just grabbed this little bit of chipboard, and this is just the back of what comes in a paper pack. It's always the perfect thickness. So I just cut out a little square, and then I'm going to glue it to the bottom of these blocks, and that just helps it sit nice and flat. Okay, and once I have all three of those ready to go, I'm going to turn them on their sides, and I'm going to go ahead and attach the letters to these blocks. Now I want to make sure that when I attach it and sit it vertically, that the letters don't overhang and then make it not sit flat again. So just remember, check your, flip it over so that your bottom does not have overhang. I just love this ribbon, and I intend to make a really pretty wreath with it, but there's so much ribbon that I definitely wanted to use it in other projects as well. Alright, so now we've got those all glued on, and our project is complete, and I just think these blocks are so cute. They'll go in a tier tray because they're nice and small, and they will fit really nicely. This project is a set of faux books. I used one of these packages of tumbling blocks from the Dollar Tree and some ribbon. I used just some white cardstock and just some markers. And this project, really inexpensive. It's cost just barely over $1, and it's a nice alternative to actual books. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put these into threes. So for my first layer, I have 3, 6, 12 blocks here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue a set of 3 together, and I'm going to do that 4 times. And once my 4 sections are done, now I'm going to glue one section on top of the other. And I'm going to do that one more time. And once those are done, I'm going to glue those two sections together. And there's my first faux book. And I'm going to do this 2 more times so that I have 3 faux books. Now I'm going to measure my cardstock so that I can fold it all the way around these wood blocks, and that will be my cover of my book. So I will cut 3 of those out. Now, before I glue my covers on, I'm going to go ahead and write what I want to say so that way in case I mess up, I can just cut a new one. So I decided that I wanted my books to say stars and stripes. There's a ton of different sayings you could say, like home of the brave, or land that I love, sweet land of liberty, God bless America. So you got a lot of choices here. If you want to step this project up a notch, you could go onto your computer and you could type these out and print them, and then your lettering will be spot on. But I thought sometimes I just like to have my own handwriting too, so I wanted to make this a quick and easy DIY, but like I said, you can always step it up a notch. This is a really great set of double-sided markers that are from Michaels, and I will make sure that I link those down below as well. Another great tool is this glue gun from Surebonder. It is cordless, and I know that in the past I have gotten so irritated with the cord getting in my way, or it kind of like falling down because the cord like shoots off the table or whatever. So this one actually can be off the charger for 2 minutes. Typically I just put it right back on its base, but it has a little glue trap, I guess you would call it, or a drip trap also. So it's a really great glue gun. I will also link that down below, and any other items that I think you will also love. And once our books are all glued with our covers on them, I'm just going to add a ribbon, and our faux book stack will be complete. I often get asked about how I make my bows look nice and even, and so I wanted to go really slow on this part so you can see how I do it. I always pull it tight, and then I pull the tails till I get my loops to be exactly the same size. And once I do that, then I start clipping my tails, and everything is to the what's the word, equal sides. For this super simple garland, you're going to need two pieces or two different types of ribbon. This big one here is from Michael's, $10. I got it for $5. And then I found this other one, I believe at Hobby Lobby on clearance. So with this thick wired ribbon, I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. And then I'm going to cut the skinny ribbon at 3¼ inches. I'm going to cut out 7 of these strips. You can cut out as many or as little as you like. I kind of measure my area that I know I'm going to put it, and that kind of dictates how many I'm going to use. And so in this case, I was going to use 7. Once I get all those cut, I will fold it in half, and I will make a dovetail cut. Do that on each of them. And I will repeat the dovetail cut on these ribbons as well. Okay, so now that I have all my ribbons cut and ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tie a loop into the end of my twine. This is kind of an optional. It depends if you're going to be how you're going to be hanging your garland, but I always do that just in case I'm going to hang it on something. So once you've got your loop in, you can start creating your garland. Also make sure that you know how long it's going to hang from where you're hanging it to where you want your banner to start, because that's going to be important to where you put it on this twine. Okay, so I'm just folding this over in just a very small fold, as you can see, and I will slip the twine underneath, and then I'm just going to glue it right to it. I'm telling you, easiest garland you ever made but the simplicity of it really accents your decor. The skinnier ribbon is going to need a little bit more of a fold because it's not that wire ribbon. So you're going to match it so that the bottom of the skinny ribbon and the bottom of the thick ribbon kind of line up. And then you'll go ahead and add your glue and fold it over. That's an easy peasy garland. And see how simple it is, but it adds just a little extra. Had I done too much more, definitely on this display, it would have taken away from the other decor. For this project, you're going to make 2 gnomes. So you're going to need a pair of socks for their bodies. You can get these in colors if you want something different. And then you're going to need some decorative socks. I picked these up at Michael's on one of their 60% off sales. I'll use one for one hat gnome and one for the other. You'll need 2 wooden balls, or anything that's ball size or round will work. And then you're going to need a beard for your male gnome, and I got this one from a place, and I'll link it below because I just like the way they're shaped. But you can use the little dusters from the Dollar Tree, and they make good beards too. And this is just some mop that I pulled off, some strings from a mop from the Dollar Tree that I'll use for the girl hair. And then you're going to need something to weight your gnome down. I bought some, looks like split peas. I've used lentils, I've used rice, and then some stuffing and some ribbon. And this will get you going to make your gnomes. Alright, so first I just grab any old cup and I place my sock around like this. And this is just going to help so I don't spill my beans. Like I said, whatever the Dollar Tree has is what I'll grab. Like I said, I've used lentils, rice, beans, really anything that way. You can use rocks. I like the smaller little, like this, the lentils and stuff, and rice, because they're not going to get lumpy in your sock. Okay, so you're just going to make this, and I just use a little rubber band to tie it off at the top, and then I'll go ahead and I will do this for my other sock to make the second body. I'm going to make Mr. Gnome first, so I'm going to place the beard on and kind of decide where it's going to go and where I'm going to put the nose. Now there's a couple ways you can do this. This has as you can see, it's cut straight across, and so you can either glue the nose right on top or you can cut like a little half circle out in the middle so that it fits up around the nose. There's just, you know, whatever you prefer. It depends really on how big the nose I'm making or how big my gnome is. So once I've decided just to put my nose right on top of the beard, so I'll just go ahead and I'll hot glue the beard on, and then I will hot glue the nose on. And now I'm going to make the gnome's hat. And I actually found that these socks were a little bit tight and a little bit hard to get around these bodies, but it does end up working out. So because I want the hat to stand up, I'm going to just add some of this stuffing into the sock. And then I want the top to be pointed, like a little pointy. I don't want it to just look like a big like cylinder, I guess I would say. And so I will go ahead and I will just pinch the top here in a sec and add a tiny rubber band just to give it more of a triangle shape of a hat. And then I will play around with getting it to fit around the gnome body. And then, yeah, I'll just glue that hat on. It's not too hard. At this point, I'm going to fit it over the gnome's nose because that's really, we're hiding what would be his eyes. So as soon as I fit it over the nose the way I like, that is where I start the glue process because that's going to be the most important part that we want to glue correctly. So I'll glue that, I'll get it nice and firm around the nose, and then I go ahead and glue around the rest of the hat. And now I'm just going to embellish Mr. Gnome's hat a little bit here, and he will be done. It's just a simple guy to add to your patriotic decor, and I just think he is super cute. And then we'll be on to the misses. So a lot of the times when I make my gnomes, I actually use the decorative sock for the body. In this particular case, I just wanted them to be really simple, and that's why I used just the white socks. Now on her, I want her hat just to kind of flop over, because I want them to be just a little bit different. And so I just kind of work with her hat and how I'm going to fit it. The way I make a girl gnome's a little bit different because I don't have a beard to work with. Instead, I have hair to work with. So I had just pulled a few of these strings off the mop head, and I'm just going to fold them in half right here. And so I just needed 2 strings for each side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue these 2 pieces together at the very top. I'm going to do that for both of them. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tuck them underneath the hat. I'm just going to kind of get a feel of where all of this is going to go before I glue anything down. And this is just going to be her long hair. You can braid it or make ponytails. I'm going to do ponytails. And I'm going to place my nose here and get it all to where I want it to go, and then I will start gluing those down. Now it's time to take Mrs. Gnome to the salon, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to unravel the mop pieces here, and they just come undone and they make it look like she has like a crinkle hair, which I just think looks really cute. And so once I get all the hair to my liking, I will trim it, and then I will just give her little piggy tails and bows. Now that her hair is done, it's time to finish up her hat. I'm just going to pinch the top just like I did on the boy gnome, and then she can have more of a bow because she's girly. And we'll just sprucing her up and she will be all done. And I just like these simple gnomes. I have done way more elaborate ones, but I just liked these ones to be a little more simple for my decor. And so that is what I did. And I'm just going to do this little, it's like a faux bow, just tying in the middle here to put that on her hat. I've been wanting to cut out a 3D star, and so I looked up like what are the angles of, the inside of the star and the outside of the star, and I found this great blog post which I will share below on how to cut the wood out. But basically you're gonna make a jig, so you're just gonna take a piece of like thick wood like I am here, and you're gonna cut it at 45-degree angle. Then you're not gonna move it. You don't want to move your jig, okay? Then you're gonna move your saw over to 27 degrees and cut, and that's going to give you an 18-degree. Then you'll remove the jig, and then on the other side just do a 36-degree. So you're going to need 10 of those. This is what it looks like when you've cut all the angles. And now I'm going to make the inner star. So I just copied this off of my printer. You can see I had to piece together the papers because I wanted a large star. And then just taking my jigsaw, I cut around the star, and now I have my center star. Now this is a piece of scrap wood that I got off Facebook Marketplace, and it already has this kind of cool shiplap look on the backside, so that was kind of a win for me. But again, this is what it's going to look like when it's done. I go ahead and I sand all my edges to get it nice and clear. Now I'm going to take my Gorilla wood glue and I'm going to paint it onto all of my angles and glue my whole star together. Once I get my star all glued together, I'm going to use some wood filler in between each joint there. Take my sander, sand it down, and then it's ready to paint. Again, now I'm going to paint my big star, and I'm just going to use my Rust-Oleum and linen chalk paint, and I'm going to dry brush across this sign. And now I start out with a very light hand because I'm really not sure how much of the wood I want to show through. So as I go light-handed and see the whole picture, I decided I wanted to go a little bit heavier, and so I will go ahead and dry brush that heavier. Now on the star, outside star part, I will go ahead and use that same vintage blue color that I used on the earlier project and paint the whole outside of the other star. Okay, and now that everything is painted, I'm going to flip this star over, and then I'm going to attach chicken wire. This is true chicken wire from a chicken coop that was left over and given to me, and using my crown staple gun, which you can use a regular staple gun too, I staple that to the back. Now there's going to be some sharp edges on my back, so I want to finish it off. So I'm taking 1/2-inch strips of felt that I'm cutting down. I will need 10 strips because again, the star has 10 long pieces. And then I will glue these down to the back over the sharp pieces as you see here, and that's just going to give it a really nice finish, and no one's going to poke themselves. It's not going to get stuck on anything on your other decor. It's just a really nice way to finish off the back of this star. I really love how the chicken wire looks, how farmhouse. Okay, so now I'm going to decorate my inner star. Look how beautiful these ribbons are from Dollar Tree. I am very happy with them. There's no glitter. They're very farmhouse. And I'm going to take these two tags from Hobby Lobby. You can buy a pack of 10 in their party section for I think about $4. You don't really need those for this project because I'm covering them in this ribbon, so you could just use like cardboard, or you could use like poster board. Any of those will work too because you're just covering this whole thing. But since I had them, I decided to use them, and look at this ribbon is absolutely the perfect size. So easy to add these onto the tags. I'm going to use some Mod Podge and stick them down. Then I will have to cut a hole, the hole back into the tag and put the strings back in so they become tags again. I will put those down on the star. And then taking some twine from Dollar Tree, I'm just going to wrap it around the star, and then I will have to glue as I go because since you're kind of wrapping it around an angle, it's going to slip. So you're going to have to use quite a bit of hot glue to keep that in place. I just want to take a second here and welcome you to my channel. If you are new, welcome. I hope you'll stick around by hitting that subscribe button. And if you've been with me, I sure appreciate that you are back to watch another video. I also want to invite you over to Instagram. I share lots of things over there like hauls and different projects and a lot of my personal life as well. My name over there is $__mom. I hope to see you there. Okay, so once I get my star finished and decorated, I'm going to flip everything upside down. And here, see, I'm using just a regular staple, and I will staple the inner star onto this chicken wire. I really just used one staple on each end. I'm going to do one last little embellishment here, one of these little wood stars in my stash that I just color with a marker. This was a twine little bow that I had pulled off another project. So I'll just glue that down along with the star, and then this project is done. I am over the moon with how this turned out. I just love it. I love it. What do you think? It's super farmhousey. I almost want to keep it up all year because I just love how it turned out. You do see a couple staples there on the front. The chicken wire was kind of pulling it back, and so just for some extra security there, I did staple the inner angles, and I actually kind of like it. It just adds a little bit more industrial farmhouse look. So I super appreciate that you tuned into this video. I hope you enjoyed these easy projects. I know the last one was a little bit more advanced, but anyhow, I hope that you have a wonderful 4th of July, and until next time, happy crafting!